Hello everyone, my name is Darina Semyonov and welcome to our webinar today on the Region of Waterloo Drug Treatment Court. We have two presenters with us today, Kassandra Ruston. She's the Mental Health and Justice Court Support Coordinator at the Canadian Mental Health Association Waterloo Wellington Dufferin branch, I believe, and Rob Davis is a concurrent support coordinator there. They're both very experienced in the field with 8 years of experience working with CMHA for Kassandra and 4 years for Rob at the Waterloo Wellington Dufferin region. So I'm just going to go right ahead here and thank our Evidence Exchange Network partners who help us run these webinars. I'm from CMHA Ontario myself, and we also support the Provincial Human Services and Justice Coordinating Committee in putting on monthly webinars that look at topics on human services and justice and how those sectors intersect. So today, if you have a question, please type it in the chat box, that Q&A box there on the left side. The PowerPoint presentation will be emailed to all of you and anyone who registered after the presentation. And we will have a brief survey at the end. We'll have a link to that, so please fill that out. It really helps us with topics for future webinars, and it lets us know how we are doing and how our presenters are doing. So thank you, and if you're into Twitter, feel free to tweet at us. So I already introduced our presenters, and I'll give you a bit of a background to the HSJCC, or the Human Services and Justice Coordinating Committee Network. For those of you who are not familiar with it, it was established between 5 ministries who decided that there were gaps in the sectors that they were serving, and they created this strategy to coordinate human services and criminal justice systems in Ontario. So they created the strategy and this network to respond to a recognized need in the province to better coordinate services and plan more effectively for people who are in conflict with the law. And when we talk about people in conflict with the law, we're really looking at people with serious mental health issues, developmental disabilities, acquired brain injuries, drug and alcohol addictions, and/or fetal alcohol syndrome. We also look at seniors and youth, and really folks across the lifespan who come into conflict with the law. We have 43 local committees, 14 regional committees, and a provincial committee. Each is a voluntary collaboration between service providers from different sectors, so the health and social services sector, community mental health and addictions, partners from the justice sector, including Crown attorneys, judges, police services, as well as correctional service providers. We are funded by the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. The provincial committee includes the 14 regional chairs that represent the 14 regions across Ontario. And we also have ex officio members from the Correctional Service of Canada, the OPP, the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, Legal Aid Ontario, and the Community Networks of Specialized Care. And we also have ex officio reps from the 5 founding ministries, and you can read those there. We do have another webinar coming up in June, and it's on the Hamilton Rapid Response Team. If you follow our webinar series, we've been looking forward to this one, so please join us on June 26th. We will be sending out information on that. And if you're not part of our mailing list, please go to our website and you can join it, hsjcc.on.ca, and our partner websites are also there if you want more information on them. All right, so now I'm going to hand it off to Kassandra and Rob.
So I'm going to give a brief overview of the drug treatment court philosophy, and then I'll hand it over to Rob to talk a little bit more specifically on the details of the Waterloo Regional Drug Treatment Court. So the drug treatment courts were established from a desire to find a way to break the link between criminal behavior and crime, and in so doing save the lives of persons caught in the unrelenting bondage of drug addictions and crime. These courts represent the marriage of the criminal justice process and the substance abuse treatment process. Overall, the best part about the drug treatment court is that it saves lives. We are able to increase public safety. We're helping participants reduce or eliminate their drug use, ideally. We're helping them reduce their criminal behavior, and we're reuniting them with their families and other supports in their lives. We're able to assist participants to become productive members of the society and experience an overall improvement in their well-being and their wellness. The individuals and participants in drug treatment courts do pose a unique challenge to our court system. They are different than other offenders who break the law. Traditional court systems focus on a determination of guilt and sanctions, not the addiction problem itself. So judges require specialized training, and courts need specialized services and supervisors for the offenders suffering with the addictions because of the complex nature of their needs. The first drug treatment court was established in Miami, Florida in 1989. At that time, drug treatment courts were relatively new in Canada, and the concept of concurrent disorders wasn't fully established around how to specifically support those complex needs. And so the first drug treatment court was established by Judge Paul Bentley in Toronto in 1998. And we were lucky enough here in the Waterloo region in 2011 to have a drug treatment court be established. And so we were able to get that rolling up in 2013 in the Guelph region as well. It's still developing as we speak. Some of the key principles to drug treatment court overall excuse me, include integrating the addictions treatment services with the justice system and how we process their cases. We use a non-adversarial approach to prosecution. The prosecution and defense counsel promote public safety while protecting participants' charters of rights. Eligible participants are identified early and placed in drug treatment court program as promptly as possible. We provide access to a continuum of drug, alcohol, and other related treatment and rehabilitative services. Program content is continually adjusted to meet the needs of all components of our target population. We try to be swift and consistent in our sanctions and rewards for non-compliance or compliance in the program. Ongoing judicial interaction with each drug treatment court participant is essential. Monitoring and evaluating processes measures the achievement of program goals and gauge effectiveness. And a coordinated strategy governs the response to participants' compliance and non-compliance. Compliance is objectively monitored by frequent substance testing. We continue the interdisciplinary approach through education and through our overall operations. Forging partnerships among courts, treatment facilities, and rehabilitation programs, public agencies, and community-based agencies generate local support and enhances program effectiveness. Ongoing case management, providing the social support necessary to achieve social reintegration is key. All individuals who participate in drug treatment court are assigned to their own support coordinator. And this is really where the value comes in and where the relationship building and wellness can really flourish. Appropriate flexibility in adjusting program content, including incentives and sanctions to better achieve program results with particular groups such as women, Indigenous people, and minority and ethnic groups. It really makes our drug treatment court unique and have the success that it does. I'm going to pass it over now to Rob to discuss a little bit more about the specifics of our drug treatment court in Waterloo region.
Thanks, Kassandra. The drug treatment court that I've been involved in the last 4 years here is from looking at, came as a result of looking at all the other courts we could in the province and taking the best of each of their ideas. It really is an alternative court that works in collaboration with agencies in our community. It also looks very deeply, and the judge and the Crown attorneys look at the root causes of crime and how that affects the person that we have involved in the court. As you'll see in other areas, I notice we have people from Durham and Hamilton and KMH on here. And I think that's what we're really about, is looking at the root causes of crime and how it affects the people that we're supporting. They represent a real coordinated effort, and I spent 30-some years as a police officer in my past life, and I've never seen a coordinated effort like this before, including the Crown attorneys working with the defense lawyers and the judges. It really is an eye-opener for someone that has never been involved, or if you've been involved with the justice system, it's a real eye-opener, period. But anybody that gets an opportunity to see a drug treatment court, it's worth going there to see it in person. It's basically an alternative to less effective policies and procedures that we have in agencies that we work with, and it identifies substance abusers pretty quickly with their mental health issues, and it gets them support right away in a plan for the recovery starts. So we ask ourselves who is accepted to drug court, who can make referrals, and who can be referred, and what type of offense is acceptable. I think each drug court in Ontario has different policies and procedures, and I think it's whatever the Crowns and the justice system there is comfortable with. In our case, we look at referral coming from a defense counsel. Defense counsel then will take it to the Crown attorney, and the Crown has the ultimate decision-making power in who will be accepted, although the Crown is very open to discussing who can be accepted with us as a team. The accused persons who are dependent on crack, cocaine, heroin, opiates, ecstasy, and the big one is crystal meth today, is the type of drugs that Waterloo region will support. We wouldn't be taking someone with alcohol, and we probably wouldn't take someone with a marijuana addiction. The offense for the Crown to accept them has to be nonviolent, not serving a conditional sentence, or have committed an offense for personal gain, such as a break and enter or trafficking. Other than trafficking to support maybe a personal habit is acceptable. Our screening process is the first step into the drug treatment court, and it really is a collaborative approach. We will undergo an intensive screening program to determine their eligibility, and that's basically everybody will have a contribution or an opinion on what should be done with them. The Crown will be the initial screener, and the Crown attorney's main focus is the safety of the public, and that has to be the ultimate goal. The Crown attorney will screen the applicants who do not fit into drug court, and the accused person who are dependent on crack, cocaine, heroin, or opiates and meth are encouraged to apply if their offense is considered nonviolent. They are not serving a conditional sentence, as I said before, and they have not committed an offense for personal gain. So in the region of Waterloo, we will not consider a person who has committed a violent offense, including domestic violence, trafficking for commercial gain, impaired driving, or anyone who has committed a crime while serving a conditional sentence. The screening will be the client application, the application questionnaire, the prosecution brief, the criminal history, and an input from relevant professionals in the criminal justice system, which is us. What to expect for the drug treatment court participants undergoing intensive substance abuse treatment, case management, drug testing, supervision, while reporting regularly scheduled status hearings before a judge with a specialized expertise in the drug court model. So as the judge basically volunteers to become the judge in the drug treatment court, they really do develop a specialized expertise in this as time goes on. Drug courts also provide a lot of extra treatment for mental health, trauma issues, family therapy, job skills training, and many other life skill enhancement services.
I think it's important to note too, Rob, that someone who chooses to apply for drug treatment court needs to expect a long journey. It's not something that ends quickly. It's usually up to a year-long commitment, and they have to attend court on a weekly basis.
And we tell our participants are really told in the beginning that it can be a year to year and a half, and that it is a drug treatment court. Now, in the beginning, the first probably 3 months, it doesn't really register with people that they have to go to a residential training or treatment or seek help with counselors. And they think it's an easy go at the beginning because they think they're avoiding jail. But the graduates at the end will tell you that it's a lot harder to do the drug treatment court than than going to jail and just doing their sentences. So we've set up a website for the Regional Waterloo Drug Treatment Court, and you can see the paperwork there, which will have the handbook, our application form, application for interim release order, and the Crown's questions, and our adult program waiver. And the one we've added is we've created at the end, you'll see application for graduation, which we think is important. When they're ready to graduate, we've had about 15 people graduate. We have them fill out an application explaining the strengths that they have and why they think they should be graduating now. We do focus on the positive strengths of people throughout the drug treatment court program. So what happens is once the person's in drug treatment court, they enter a guilty plea to their outstanding charges. For those that know the court system, they have to go before a judge, and their charges are read out, and the charges then are entered into a guilty plea. They agree to undergo mandatory drug screens. So we have them testing twice a week for drug testing. They are required in our region to attend a minimum of 3 community meetings per week. So we allow Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Cocaine Anonymous, and what we have as a great resource here with Canadian Mental Health Association is the Self-Help Alliance meetings, which are peer support meetings. So these are meetings that they are required to attend 3 times a week. Then they are required on our Wednesday to attend court, and this is mandatory. This is the same as being required to attend a court appearance. So failure to comply with these rules can result in sanctions and expulsions being imposed by the court. Now, it could be a whole webinar for the sanction, and we talk about what the sanctions could be for people and what stage they're at. And that's an interesting discussion we always have with a team of what is going to help that person improve and when the sanctions and what the sanctions should be.
as well, Rob. I think with respect to the guilty plea, if people have some questions around how that works, it should be noted that upon graduation, the participant will be sentenced to their charges pled to at the onset of drug treatment court. If a participant is terminated or withdraws from the program, they will be sentenced by a provincial court judge as soon as possible. There is sentencing that does occur. The outcome of that sentencing is determined on by each judge and by their success or lack of in the program.
So the Region of Waterloo Drug Treatment Court team is the judge, the federal Crown Attorney, and a provincial Crown Attorney, duty counsel, community health nurse. We have a community health nurse with a psychiatric outreach program from the St. John's Kitchen. We have also a doctor from there who attends our court regularly, bail supervision workers, community justice initiative workers. We've just recently had a volunteer from the John Howard Society wanting to be a support coordinator, and of course Canadian Mental Health Association coordinators. We have Waterloo Regional Police Service involved, and what I think we're extremely proud of is we have community volunteers that really contribute significantly to this program. Every week they bring in food, baked goods, delicious stuff, and they'll bring in the food as well. When we have a graduation, they prepare a cake of the person's choice. So it's a really exciting event, and it's really exciting to have community volunteers help bring this all together.
And it's great that they relax sort of these typical courtroom procedures, and the participants and their supports that are with them can eat and enjoy those snacks while court's going on, because they are expected to sort of stay there to watch all participants go through the court that day. And so the snacks really help them when they've been, maybe they went on the streets or in, really bad environments, to come in and they know that there's going to be some food there for them is a huge incentive.
So one of the things we've set up in our court, and it doesn't happen everywhere, but we have a small reward and a large reward. We, I don't know, maybe it was from KMH's program on motivational interviewing that really inspired us to start looking at the positive strengths of a person, and it seems to really work. Everything from a round of applause, clapping, which I kind of was hesitant at first, but it's amazing for people that are, been struggling with this addiction all their life, that when they do something good, the whole court breaks out into a round of applause by clapping. It's a huge reward for them. When necessary, we have the issue of sanctions that we always have a debate, and that can be anywhere from community service to working in a community garden or writing an essay to the judge. If the person ends up having underlying issues, for instance, with they've been traumatized by sexual abuse and that, they may not want to disclose that to the whole court, but they have been able to write an essay explaining it to his honor, and the honor reads the letter and acts accordingly or helps motivate the person to what they need to do. Once all the matters have been heard, we usually have the volunteers participate by having cake or food for them in the court, and that's really a strange feeling coming from a police background that you're eating cake and tarts in the courtroom. But you have to remember that a lot of the people are living in tents or on the street and are used to just eating at the St. John's Community Kitchen. And this is a big deal for them to have something to eat during the day.
And as well, before the court even opens up, there is the team that you spoke of with the judge and the Crown. We all sit down in a sort of case conference style, and we do problem solving from a team approach. We discuss strategies to support each specific individual for the upcoming week. We review the drug testing results, and then we do discuss those rewards and sanctions like you mentioned. But the greatest part is that it is from a team approach, yeah, which is fantastic.
I know we're cramming a lot in here, so if you do have questions, we'll be happy to take them at the end too. rewards are very, very important. I found over the past 4 years, we've come up with a small reward for those that maybe have 1 or 2 setbacks. So we'll be able to provide them with candy, journals, pens, hygiene products, scarves, hat and gloves, things that are basic necessities, and they very much appreciate these little things. The large rewards, again, we're not a funded drug treatment court. Our funding comes from the community, but we managed to acquire donations, and we give them a McDonald's gift card and a Tim Hortons gift card or a Subway gift card, or our latest one has been a Shoppers Drug Mart gift card. So the large rewards are when they've been testing clean, and of course they always get a round of applause after that. And I don't want to underplay the round of applause. It really is a big deal for them. Again, as I said before, the sanctions, and I think it was the Drug Treatment Court conference that taught us that sanctions have to be immediate. And that was one of the best conferences we went to, where they had a workshop on sanctions, and it really does mean a lot if you give the sanction immediately at the time and not wait 2 or 3 weeks or a month. So a written essay, a project to do, hours at the local St. John's Community Kitchen. We have a garden, which I'll talk about later, as a therapeutic outlet. And any out-of-the-box idea the team might come up for that person. One participant, we could tell, has a university brain. He could actually probably do a PhD in something, and he wrote an essay on self-sabotaging and then read it to the court. That was an out-of-the-box idea by the judge, where he thought it would be great if he could share why he's self-sabotaging himself. And one of the sanctions that, because it is a court and a justice system, we have used the temporary jail time as a detox alternative sometimes. So if a person is really on a bender and hasn't complied with anything, they can face 2 or a week jail time, and think about if they want to continue in the program. So one of my favorite things to talk about, because I like talking about out-of-the-box things, is one of the participants came up with this saying, planting time, not doing time. So the Working Center has a St. John's Kitchen, and the Working Center have a garden where they're about 2 acres of land that they're growing organic vegetables in. And one of the sanctions is to go do some community service hours there in this community garden. And the judge and the Crown attorneys, we had a great debate about, well, that really isn't a sanction, because the people who come back from this garden are really, really enjoying themselves. And then we started looking into the word horticultural therapy as part of this drug treatment court. So one of their sanctions is to work in the garden. And I've seen some great results from that, and we hope to continue that, and someday maybe get funding to have a horticultural therapist work with us specifically on that. The nurse that works for the St. John's Kitchen, Jane, is really interested in recreation and has started art groups, hiking groups, museum tours. She has me planning a fishing trip in July when there's a fishing-free week, I think July 11th. And she does a lot of hiking with the people from the Drug Treatment Court, which has brought some of the alumni back that have graduated and have used the court before. All participants have to be explained this a few times, but we require that they do the ADAP tools, they attend withdrawal management, they are required to attend residential treatment and outpatient aftercare groups, and they are required to get addiction counseling. So That brings us to the graduation from the drug court. In order to graduate, the participants, and we have them listed here, have to have, they have to be clean for 90 days after they attended a treatment program, a residential treatment program. They were clean for 90 days, have the stable housing, and engage in activities that are productive for themselves and the community. So the graduation from the drug treatment court is a big, big deal for the person when they get to that stage. There's times when the requirements of being in the program for a year and a half really can be exhausting for them. And they, you can see the determination. Not all of them will graduate, but even the ones that have to give up the program for various reasons, they still come to court and feel part of the drug treatment court alumni after that, even though they didn't graduate. So it's not always a pass or fail. It's more, well, it is a harm reduction example of one of the best harm reduction examples I can think of. So the alumni is the people that have graduated and the people that haven't graduated. They seem to support each other in a way that they understand each other. So it's not about us now telling them how they should be, but the other participants are really involved working together, supporting them on what treatment they should go to, what, you know, if they should be on methadone, what doctors they might want to see. But it does create a family-like approach in the end.
So overall, we've looked at over a decade worth of research looking at other drug courts, and we recognize that they have significantly improved substance abuse treatment outcomes and substantially reduced crime and produced a greater cost benefit than any other justice strategy. And in the past 4 years, the Waterloo Regional Drug Treatment Court has had 15 successful drug-free candidates. At any given time, our drug treatment court only has 10 individuals participating due to the number of support coordinators that can take on individuals. Like I said, that's a key component to the support we do provide, is giving them that one-on-one support in the community, the case management style approach. And so we're pleased to announce that we've had 15 successful graduates from the Waterloo Regional Drug Treatment Court.
So I want to leave you with a little bit of some psychology that I've discovered years ago from an old professor that kept telling me, you know, Rob, if you ever want to have a group, a cohesive group, whether it's 2 people or 100 people, you need 3 ingredients, like as if you're baking a cake. And he explained this theory, I think it was from 1966, with the William Schutz, S-C-H-U-T-Z. And he basically outlines 3 ingredients that represent a cohesive partnership, whether it's your partner or it's 100 people. If you take away one of these ingredients, you won't have a cohesive relationship, according to the social psychologist William Schutz. Inclusion, control, and affection are the 3 ingredients. And easy to remember ICA. If you go into a meeting or a relationship and you want to know what's missing in your cohesive relationship, you look at those 3 ingredients, ICA. Inclusion, the extent to which we include ourselves with others. The control is the extent of which controls another action or the desire to guide us. And affection is later was changed by William Schutz to openness, but how we express our affection to others and the desire that we want from them. So inclusion, you know, the people need to feel included. Control about what they can and can't contribute, and affection or openness is about being validated. And it's pretty common sense if we look at that. And when we look at the drug treatment court, those 3 ingredients are all there for us. And that's what's always, what I've found is missing from the justice system, especially the affection. And you're getting to see that even with the applause again, which may not be understood until you actually sit in the drug treatment court and listen to and watch the faces on people that are getting the applause that have never really had this over the past years of their life.
We do have a few testimonials just around some of the successes. Just to, if you're interested in reading them, you'll be getting these slides later. We're not going to go through them as I think it's more important to kind of address some of the questions. But I just wanted to highlight the quote here from one of our recent graduates that I think if anybody had the opportunity to do this, they should take it. It's life-changing. And again, here's another successful candidate was standing with the judge. It's one of the highlights of the graduation ceremony is that they get to go up and sit in the judge's chair and have their picture taken and receive their certificate and gifts and whatnot from the support team. And it's a great environment to be around, like Rob said. And lastly, we leave you with some online resources here, just with respect to not just the drug treatment court, but a lot of other programs that do run justice programs, mental health courts, as well as drug treatment courts. So we wanted to open up some questions, and so I see that we had some questions that were listed on the side. I'm going to just see if we can get them sent to us so I can clarify some of the questions you asked. Just 1 second, bear with me here, please.
Great. So thank you both for presenting, Kassandra and Rob. I've got the questions up, so I'm hoping you can see them now. The first one is from Chantel, and it's around, she was asking earlier on in the presentation, what is the reason for not accepting alcohol and marijuana substance use?
You know, it's something that that's what, when we started the drug treatment court, that's what the Crown attorneys had decided on. The policy would be to be an approved drug, it's a little technical, to be an approved drug treatment court, you have to be approved by the Attorney General of Canada, and there's a federal drug prosecutor that would not be prosecuting those offenses. They'd be provincial Crown attorney offenses, so I think it stems a lot from the way it's approved in Canada by the Crown attorneys. So it really has no, we have no control about that, but a person that's an alcoholic, basically they feel there's other resources for them at withdrawal management. They can, but we've never had anybody apply actually that's been strictly marijuana and alcohol. But really isn't something, it isn't really something that we can say other than it's just a policy here. Other drug treatment courts might accept people in that. We in Waterloo have chosen just to accept the people with the hard street drug.
Great. Thank you, Rob. So just a reminder to folks that we do have a webinar evaluation survey. It's on the left there on the screen. And someone else also asked for the link that was posted earlier on around the drug treatment. So the link is there. Thank you, Tina, for posting it. And we will send the slides as well, so you'll have all of that information. We have a question from Deirdre, who asked who or what agency provides the drug treatment, and I think that's a really good question, and I'd also want to know how are those relationships with those agencies formed, you know, at the outset of setting up a court like this?
Yeah, that is the question. It's an ongoing question, Deirdre. The people that provide that treatment are basically anybody we can find out there. If you know any agencies or any treatment centers, we'd be happy to hear from them. But we basically would start with our Waterloo, Wellington, Dufferin here 24/7 program. We'll start with doing an ADAT tools assessment for the person, and they will jump in now after doing the ADAT tools and help us find a place that's going to be beneficial for them. So it could be North Bay, it could be KMH in Toronto, it could be Westover, any treatment program that we can find basically from even the DART phone number is what we've been using.
As well, we're lucky here in the Waterloo region and in Kitchener we do have a withdrawal management center. So that's obviously the one we as our first go-to when there's bed availability. One of the greatest parts about our program, and because we do have that one-to-one worker support, we can take the time to find treatment programs that are unique to the individual. So we have had women who have attended a Native women's treatment facility or a concurrent disorders at CAMH, their addictions program. And so we're lucky that we can have that opportunity to get to know our individuals really well and find specific programs that will work for them. Again, it is based on bed availability often.
So, you want me to go through some of these questions quickly?
Yeah, I'm reading them to you just so that it's easier on you guys because we're getting more as we go. So the next question is, do the service providers meet with the judge prior to court to go over a person's progress, or is it left to the case management meetings? Is the accused invited to the case management meeting? So this is coming from Peter Kirby, who's a lawyer in Kenora, and his concern is around how much information is exchanged in the absence of the accused.
So we meet in camera from 10 a.m. to about 12 noon, and everybody's there, the defense lawyer, the Crown attorneys, the treatment people, the judge is present as well, and it's an informal session of how are we going to support this person this week, and how's the person lived up to their availability. If there's an issue around that, it certainly is, the proceedings basically would be sent back to that person's legal counsel, and if there is something that needed to be addressed, they would take it from there. But basically, it's meeting with the judge and the service providers and finding out what positive things have happened this week to that person and where that person's recovery plan needs to go for the next week.
But no, the accused does not attend that in-camera meeting, and a lot of our individuals are supported by duty counsel who attends those meetings, and often have the same consistent rotation of duty counsel, so they have a relationship with the accused as well.
Great, thank you for answering that question. So the next one is, have you engaged in any research regarding how gains are sustained over time after the treatment graduation?
We've been looking at that in an evaluation standpoint. The court I'm involved in Guelph is now actually looking at the evaluating the program there. It's a hard one to answer now. The program's only been, I think, going for about 15 or 16 years. The research, though, is ongoing, and I think what we have come to understand is that graduation may not mean that they're drug-free for the rest of their lives, but at least it's a step in the direction of them starting to work on their own recovery plan. But there is a lot of research out there now, and we're constantly trying to update ourselves with some of it.
Great, thank you for that. The next question is from Amy, and she asks, how are you able to fund for drug testing in cases where the participant isn't already going for testing? So, for example, if they're on methadone.
Well, that's a good point. We have been very lucky to build relationships, and I think that's the benefit of the drug treatment court. It really strives to build relationships with the community partners. We have 2 doctors that have methadone clinics. They've also agreed to do testing for the people that aren't on methadone for us. So that's how we're funded in that area.
Great, thank you. The next question is from Kate. She asks, when you say that they are required to attend residential treatment, is that an absolute must in order to graduate? And she's thinking about those who are not residential treatment ready, or those who are able to have favorable outcomes with community counseling.
Yeah, we've learned over our experience has been that not everybody is going to succeed or going to benefit from group counseling. So we will adapt the treatment plan for that person to their needs. One of the ways we've graduated some people in the past that just could not attend, and to their credit, they did try to attend a residential treatment program, but it's just not in their nature. So one of the adaption models is they attended Self-Help Alliance, which is a peer support group, and one of the programs they became very involved in was yoga at the Self-Help Alliance program, and they were able to graduate by basically doing that program.
Great, thank you. So the next question is asking, are you accredited, and if not, can you override the mandatory minimums?
That question was asked about 2 years ago, and to the credit of the Crowns, who you saw in the pictures, they did apply and they are accredited now. So it's a very legal question, but it's we are accredited.
Great.
The Attorney General section.
And from Tina, so this is a broad question, and it's one that I'm interested in as well, asking how is the drug treatment court developed? Timmins currently does not have one, and I know many other areas don't either, and there's I know the HSJCC is looking at mental health courts, but there's really no kind of, how-to out there in terms of starting these things up. They're very unique to their communities. So do you have any comment on how it was created?
Yeah, I think if you're interested in creating a drug treatment court, I strongly recommend looking at it. You need to get the Crown Attorney on side that has a passion for this work, and you can start with the Crown Attorney and then build a community collaborative of people. One of the easiest ways to do that is to go attend some drug treatment courts, and we were welcomed in Toronto when we first started, and we were welcomed, to participate and sit and watch those courts, and then the judges will be more than happy to give a hand when that comes.
The key is those relationships with the Crown Attorney's office. Because we aren't funded, that was a big piece of ours is the joint relationship with the Crown Attorney's office.
Great, thank you. The next one is from Tamara. Have you considered utilizing the Addiction Severity Index as a pre-post measure? So it's very specific around, I guess, evaluation or looking at your clients.
Every person is individual in this area. Finding treatment for anxiety has been a real problem. It's more, I guess, before we start building what am I thinking here? An anxiety.
Addiction severity, not anxiety. It's called. She's correcting here. Sorry, yeah. Addiction severity index. Okay. So it's just a different form of a tool, right?
Yeah, I guess maybe a better question would be what kind of tools do you use when you're working with your clients?
Yeah, right now we're using the ADAT tools to help the person find the appropriate treatment center, which leads them to attend the right counselor. It takes when we're looking at concurrent disorders, we need to engage the person and move them into a persuasion stage, and then a treatment, and then a relapse prevention stage. And getting them to the right therapy, if it's trauma, is not an easy task. So you can have a lot of tools, but unless we have the right treatment for them, we usually try to find the treatment now and then let the place that has the treatment assess them.
We also, as an agency, as most probably agencies out there, we do use the OCAN, which will we do a pre and post OCAN, which helps us to measure any changes and improvements. But for us, because our founding core principles is on the relationships, and we do have a fantastic alumni follow-up, we really do have that ability to continue to support those even post-graduation. And so we haven't looked at sort of any of the tangible quantitative measures of post and assessments and whatnot at this stage for our drug treatment court.
I think looking at those tools right now would be a little overwhelming unless we had full-time support workers to help develop their plans.
Mm-hmm. That's a really great comment, Rob, because I know that's a difficulty across the provinces. Are all of the support workers part-time, or are there any full-time support workers?
No, everybody from the support workers are from other agencies. So the other agencies, as I said, our latest person to join our team is, we hope, is from the John Howard Society. So each agency brings an expert in their field. Community Justice Initiative works on mediation and anger, as well as sexual abuse, trauma. John Howard Society, of course, everyone knows that we're working with the criminal justice system. And what we try to do is bring those partners together, and then that helps us when we're looking at the person's individual needs to help assess where they should be going to get support. It is a recovery-based approach that we're following.
But to answer your question, there really isn't a full-time worker assigned strictly to the drug treatment court. So many of the other agencies have to carry caseloads outside of the drug treatment court in addition to their drug treatment court clients.
Great, thank you. So I think that's all the questions that we have that I can see. We have a comment from Deirdre saying it would be interesting to see someone develop best practice guidelines for drug treatment courts so that the hard work can be done. The hard work done by these unfunded programs could show their results to support their work, and I agree with that, and I think that's a great thing perhaps for the HSJCC to do. Yeah. So I think that's everything. I want to thank our presenters again, Kassandra and Rob. For those of you on the line, please fill out our evaluation survey. It's on the left there, the link. It's a SurveyMonkey. And please join us in June when we have our next webinar. And